We begin tonight with a paramount choice of this presidential election, one that will dominate in one way or another throughout. Government or freedom, economic opportunity or government entitlement. The conflict between government and enterprise will be decided tomorrow by the voters of Wisconsin. The governor holding on to a tight lead in the latest survey. Public policy polling showing Governor Walker up 3 points just hours before the polls open. Union-backed Democrats trying to oust the governor from office over his reforms to collective bargaining. Governor Walker's reforms eliminated a $3.6 billion state deficit without raising taxes and without laying off a single public worker. But the gap between public and private workers in Wisconsin and nationwide is now dramatic. Americans for Tax Reform report state and local government employees average $80,000 a year in compensation. That's a number that jumps to $123,000 a year when talking federal employees. The average for a comparable private sector worker is a mere half of that, $60,000 per year. We'll be heading to the chalkboard later to look at how the battle playing out in Wisconsin reveals the great American divide that is now upon us. For more on the Wisconsin recall vote, we turn now to Fox News correspondent Mike Tobin for the report.
Great to be back in Green Bay.
As the fight over union rights and collective bargaining falls flat with Wisconsin voters, Democratic Mayor Tom Barrett of Milwaukee crisscrossed the state, criticizing his opponent and the millions of dollars that support Republican Governor Scott Walker from supporters outside Wisconsin.
He's playing to be the poster boy of the Tea Party, and that's why he's raising all of that money.
Mayor Barrett promised to be the governor who could heal the bitter wounds and unify a divided state.
I want to focus on putting our values back into public policy.
Governor Walker goes into the home stretch enjoying a single-digit lead in the average of polls and buoyed by recent job numbers. He claims that shows all the pain was worth it. The reforms he put in place are working.
That's why I'm convinced if we're able to prevail tomorrow in the election, I think you're going to see a boom in terms of new employment in the state of Wisconsin.
The ground game is unlike anything seen before in a statewide race. Volunteers are working the phone banks and going door to door to persuade voters. With the campaigns and third-party groups having descended on Wisconsin, most voters have been visited multiple times.
I just hope it's over. I want it over, yeah.
Walker can't defend his failed record.
Barrett isn't telling the truth.
$62 million have cluttered up the airways with ads. The fight has been nasty and almost constant for a year and a half.
I think there has been a lot of damage done to the state, and I think it is going to take a long time, or a significant time, substantial time, for that healing process to occur.
In keeping with the spirit of this fight, it's not just about the governor's office. Anyone who can be recalled has been recalled. So the lieutenant governor and 4 state senators are on the ballot. One Senate race in the southern part of the state is particularly tight. If Republicans lose it, they lose majority control of that chamber, where you could argue this all began. Lou?
Mike, thank you. Mike Tobin. Wisconsin, of course, not the only place dealing with private versus public sector. 2 cities in California have ballot measures addressing their runaway pension obligations as well. In San Diego, payments to the city's retirement fund have soared from $43 million back in 1999 to more than $230 million this year. That's equal to 20% of the city's general fund budget. In San Jose, payments there have jumped from $73 million in 2001 to $245 million this year, equal to 27% of its general fund and a 10th straight year of deficits. Joining us now is Arthur Laffer, former member of President Ronald Reagan's Economic Policy Advisory Board, now chairman of Laffer Associates, also author of the new book, Eureka, the Way to Fix California. Art, great to have you with us. This is the subject of our new series of special reports here on Lou Dobbs Tonight, and that is the Great American Divide. We're looking at that conflict between public and private sector employees, the conflict between opportunity in this country and entitlement, and others as well, but prominently, and most prominently, those two. Your thoughts right now about how important Wisconsin is and the outcome of that election?
Well, Wisconsin is a very unusual state, along with California, by the way. They can go from Karl Marx to Adam Smith and back again in a long weekend. If you go back to Lee Dreyfus, well, Lee Dreyfus was governor. Then you got this guy, Tony Earl, who was a little bit to the left of Che Guevara. And then you've got Tommy Thompson. Now you've got Scott Walker. It is a very contentious battleground state and has been for a long time. And it really is a bellwether for what's coming. And I am very excited about what's going in Wisconsin because, frankly, people deserve the governments they get. And, you know, Wisconsin, I think Scott Walker's done a great job. I've been up there for him several times, and I think he's a super guy, and I hope to goodness he wins. But Wisconsinites have the right to choose their own governor and their own laws, and I hope they don't make a mistake, but it's theirs.
Yeah, there are very few empirical foundations for a governor's performance in such a short period of time as Governor Walker has been in office, whether it is removing the $3.6 billion deficit, whether it is bringing his budget under control while laying off not a single state employee.
Pretty amazing, pretty amazing.
And creating 23,000 jobs, 13,000 new businesses for him just in 4 months. And yet, passions are obviously running high, as Mike Tobin just has reported. It's remarkable. San Jose, California, your state. Let me turn to California, if I may. No one is more familiar with the challenges that state faces, whether it be fiscal policy, whether it be societal, whether it be economic. San Jose, we're talking about $95,000 as the average. For employees who've retired since 2007 in San Jose, those workers making $95,000 a year. How does one begin to
That's only from their
rationalize
pensions,
that?
Lou.
I'm sorry?
No, but that's only from their pensions.
Right.
They're allowed to get other jobs after they retire.
Of course.
So they get that pension and they get another job on top. And some of them, like, you know, I can remember back in the olden days, they'd get 4 and 5 and 6 pensions and they'd live like kings. And now the chickens have come home to roost in my hometown of San Diego, where Jerry Sanders, I don't know if you saw what's happening there, but I endorsed Jerry when he ran for mayor of San Diego. They've got the same problems. You know, these problems have to be addressed.
In San Diego, they're
running amok.
They're trying to move to a 401k for new hires. In San
Which is
Jose,
the right way to go.
In San Jose, what they're going to decide is those existing employees having those pensions roll back straight away, right?
Well, yeah, you want them to roll back. They have to. You know, it's like a Maserati careening at a granite wall at 180 kilometers an hour. It's going to stop, Lou. The question is whether it stops with a bang or whether it stops with conscious, rational decisions, bringing it down to where the solution is fair and keeps prosperity. So far, California has shown itself unable to do the right thing time and time again. Let's hope they get the right thing this time, but I'm not sure they will.
Your book, Eureka, How to Fix California. And you could cross out California and put in the United States of America as well,
Yeah,
I think, in many respects. What is it going to take to, I mean, Governor Brown alternately appears rational and alternately not. And besides that, with that Democratic legislature, what in the world is he to do?
Well, I'm a huge fan of Jerry Brown's. Without him, Prop 13 would never have passed the way it did. He was a great governor of Oakland. You know, when he ran for president, he ran on my plan of a flat tax, the first presidential candidate to eliminate the progressive income tax. So he has a lot of wonderful traits, and I think very highly of him. But the question is, he doesn't have the power, Lou. You've got this legislature that's crazy. You've got, I stopped at 330 commissions in my book, 185 taxes. It doesn't stop. It's just the most terrible mixture of inefficiencies and incompetencies I've ever seen.
We're out of time, but I've got to show our viewers at home the list of fees and taxes in California.
Isn't it amazing?
It's extraordinary that the state's afloat at all.
Well, that's only a partial list. I stopped. I couldn't do anymore.
In something more than just debt. Arthur Laffer, is always good to talk with you.
Lou, you're wonderful. Thank you very much for having me.